Doing Stuff with Jim. Come hang out and have a good time doing. Hey everybody, it's Jim. This is my buddy Chuck. This is Chuck's family. Chuck decided to build himself a Jeep one day, and here's how it all started. It's an old CJ, got a 4.3 V6 with some fuel injection and a bunch of other stuff. Chuck got to wheeling this Jeep. He started having grand adventures. Some were more complicated than others. Some were great. But he got the bug pretty bad. And this is a story of how Chuck lost his mind. So Chuck bought Mike's old Jeep, 4500 class Ultra 4 car. In the beginning, Clint rode with him, and then along came Randy Burke, who became the long-term permanent co-driver to Chuck. They started racing in regional events, Sacramento and things like that, Prairie City. There were challenges. It's a steep learning curve. But Chuck got better every day, and he pushed the car every day. Some days were great, some days weren't so great. So that learning curve sometime involved mastering flat ground and also putting things together correctly or remembering in the rush to get them right. And of course, changes. Armed with more horsepowers and a fresh look, Chuck went after it again. Him and Randy were tearing it up. And they were on a different learning curve now because it was fast. Did I forget to mention that sometimes racing is really, really challenging for your bank account and your state of mind? And boy, did we have to hold Chuck's hand for a minute when he started going through this phase. But alas, he was off to the races again after he patched her up with a fresh rebuild. And he was getting better every time. We were really starting to see some promise from young Chuck. So that part where I said promise, well, Chuck made a few promises. He said he was going to put on a show. And in this situation, by God, he did. He was recorded by NASA, I think, when he crashed this time. So, everybody, at this point in the video, it's kind of like an intermission. See, here's the part where Chuck graduates from grade school, made it all the way through junior high, knowledge-wise, skated by the high school years in his driving skills and his ability to completely build a car that would survive out there. And he's decided he's going to go to college now. And what you're going to see next is the byproduct of a crap load more money. Triple the time. No joke. And just so much more investment from himself and his family and his friends to help him jump up to the next level. Chuck decided he needed a 4800 class Ultra 4 car. And for those of you who know the difference between a 45 and a 48, it's pretty substantial how much harder your car's got to go and how much more it's going to take to go there and what it's going to take to pull all those resources together. And Chuck did a really spectacular job of learning how to race, not just how to drive. And at this point, he was ready. And we all got behind him the best we could. I mean, nobody lives in Chuck's hometown. And it's a bit of a drive for us to come up there and help. So all of us that could made our contributions where we could. And he had some closer friends that lived a little closer that had more time to give, and they donated, and they made it work. And Chuck also put himself out there. He gathered up support, sponsors. You know, he did a real fine job of putting together a racing program, mostly working by himself. And also holding down his day job and supporting his wife and his family all the time, and supporting his wife's day job, which is running their family business in the little old town of Las Molinas, California. And all the while, Randy, the co-driver, was right there helping Chuck at every turn when he could. And they got the car back together. They got the new car put together, I should say. And the new car is a custom spec chassis from Liberty Mountain Fabrication. A friend of ours, Phil Licciardi, up in Gardnerville, Nevada. And Phil builds a really good looking car, and it's really tough. And between Phil's chassis and then Phil's subsequent suspension work, Phil also builds shocks and straightens out people's cars for them. Chuck has got a car now with that crazy twin turbo LS and this fantastic suspension and lots of big dumb expensive parts that it needed to be competitive in this category of racing. And boy, when he hit the ground running this time, he was really making tracks. And I'm not kidding. This car's substantially faster than the old one. And now I'm going to show you some of the video of some dyno tuning, some shock tuning sessions, and a few more pictures from racing. And yeah, I think you're going to love this stuff. And by all means, please go check out, Ultra 4 Racing and check out what my buddy Chuck has been up to. And all the other fantastic racers and families and companies that are associated with it. And this is not an advertisement of any kind for Ultra 4. I'm just a really huge fan. And I think anybody that is a fan of Ultra 4 Racing will immediately agree that this is something worth spending time being around, being involved in, or just checking it out. Because it's extreme. It's pretty cool. So here we go. Intermission's over. Let's check out the rest of the video. So this is just going to be a few pictures from when Chuck was putting the car together. And there was a lot of work to make this combination come together. There's a bajillion pieces in an Ultra 4 car. And a lot of effort applied to complete that daunting task. And here in a second, you're going to see the start of our dyno testing. But right before that, here's a little clip of her sitting out front. Doesn't it just look fast sitting still? Can't wait to see it run.
considering that's the first pull with 8 cylinders, I'd say that's a pretty decent number. So far, so good. Hey Chuck, what do you think of that? I'm a happy. That's my boy Chucky right there. Hang on, folks. We'll get back to you in a few. Just wanted to add a little more texture to our video,
made a little
guys.
more boost that time too.
I didn't even see.
If you guys will see the internal workings of this monster.
That makes it not as impressive.
Oh. How much boost was it?
13 pounds.
Well, considering it made 560 before on 13 pounds.
Yeah.
By the way, just for the record, everybody, all the flashing red lights are not the empty your wallet lights. We'll get to those. We're going to get to those later. So hang on. All right, everybody. So that wraps up our session at Matt Fab. Matt and Chucky made quite a few changes in the car today, and they finally got a handle on the whole setup. We ran into a small issue with Chucky's ability to safely thread a spark plug in, so the session has ended. Again, that's a 406 LS with a 317 cylinder head on a stock block on 110 octane Renegade, and it's knocking down 766 horsepower. And I regret I didn't remember the torque number. And that was at about 12.5 pounds. So clearly, with some different fuel or some more tuning, that thing could go quite a bit further. But in the category of an Ultra 4 car that puts down higher than 750 at the wheel, or at the hub in this case, there ain't a whole lot of guys out there that are going to run with that car. And the ones that do, well, they're going to have a damn good time doing it because they're all going to be flying.
So the next day, Matt hit the up arrows, and there you go. And then it was off to shock tuning with Phil. Now with a more refined car and more seat time, Chuck and Randy really went out there and got after it. And they're driving hard this season trying to do something big. And these are pictures of them, not necessarily in sequence, but showing the car doing its thing. And sometimes doing your thing involves being who you are. Chuck and Randy like snacks. And the rest of these pictures are all about the last race Chuck went to. This was the season finale, the Nationals in the Badlands in Oklahoma. And this event was it was a test. The boys did great. The car had a couple of challenges. You'll notice in this video, Chuck appears to be playing transmission surgeon. Well, they got through that challenge, got the car fixed, and went back out. They finished well, middle of the pack. But their championship points got them 3rd nationally, 8th in the Western Regionals. And at the end here, you'll see some trophy action. The boys did great. Everybody that supported Chuck and Randy is very proud of them. Had a great season. The next stop will be King of the Hammers 2022. We hope you're all there watching and rooting for them. And I know I will be, so... Until the next time we get a chance to talk, this is Doing Stuff with Jim, and hope you all enjoyed the show. Okay, everybody, that brings us to the tail end of this monster. I think we've done a pretty fair job today of sharing with you a story about my buddy Chuck and his racing program. And I've enjoyed making this thing. It's been a challenge. Running behind the curve on everything you produce as a video makes for some issues, and I can promise you that a large amount of the content in this video you're watching right now is probably way out of sequence on the timelines based on the reality of what really happened. But what it is an honest representation based on what was laying around of the story. How Chuck got his running start into the world of Ultra 4 racing and some of his accomplishments since then. And like my channel is intended to do, it's just to share stuff. I'm not here to give you a factual, moment by moment, nanosecond by nanosecond documentary of someone else's life. I'm just telling stories. And they're supposed to be fun, they're supposed to be enjoyable, and even possibly entertaining. So without making it any longer than it has to be, sorry if it drug on too long. Thanks for coming around to join us at the channel again. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the old bell icon. Because eventually, when I'm famous, you'll wish you'd got in on this ground floor opportunity. I'm telling you. I'll be worldwide one day. Or not. I don't even care. But until the next time, please have a great day. Enjoy your life. And come back and see us.